Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rechachachodash. Double honor to the apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations unto the elect of the nation of Israel. This is your brother Ayash Kabar from the GMS Virginia camp, coming at you with another lesson that I pray that you find edifying through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai. And essentially, the title of this lesson is going to be, You Will Have Nothing and Be Happy. And this is primarily the mindset of the elect, or the hopeful elect, that, you know, there's nothing in this world that we should cling on to, you know, and having that level of freedom of not having to worry about the things that the rest of the world clings on to is a load off your shoulders, or it should be a load off your shoulders, because we're waiting for the kingdom to come. We are patiently waiting for the kingdom to come, not the kingdom that we're currently in. So while a lot of jakes are worried about having nothing and being unhappy, the hopeful elect, or the elect, will have nothing and will be happy. So the only thing that the elect will have is Yahweh Yahweh Shai. That's enough. That should be enough to where you're happy being in this truth. You're happy having that hedge about you. You're happy knowing that Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai has got your back. You know? Because there's nothing in this world that could remove the hand of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai from off you, you know, having a hedge about you, you know, at all, you know? So I'm gonna break out a few precepts and go in a little deeper, because we're entering into the time where the devil is you know, the devil's moving, and he's moving at an accelerated rate, to the point where if it wasn't for the watchmen to watch different and various things that are going on in the world, you know, you would miss something, you know? You got brothers going into earthquakes. You got brothers going into the famine. You got brothers going into the food famine, the famine of the word. You got brothers going into economical collapses. You got brothers going into politics, albeit national politics, world politics. You got brothers going into all types of things that if you're watching and if you're paying attention to these things, you won't be caught unawares. So knowing that these things are coming to pass, in the spirit, you should be preparing yourself to lose everything. You know, you should be preparing your spirit to, you know, have nothing. So I'm going to go into I'm gonna get this precept right quick. The book of Matthew, chapter 6 and verse 33. But seek ye first the kingdom of the Most High and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Therefore take no thought for the morrow, for the morrow shall take for the morrow will take thought for the things of itself. Sufficient unto the day is evil thereof. So Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai is saying, you know, seek the kingdom of heaven first. You know, seek Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai while he may still be found. Because, you know, as I stated a moment ago, you know, we're entering into a time of, you know, the famine of the word, let alone the famine of food. So you want to seek Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai before these days come. Because when it gets that bad, pursuant to the book of 2nd Esdras, when it gets bad, you're going to have people breaking into your homes. You're going to have, you know, all out chaos going on, robberies, murders, deaths, you know, murder, death, kills, you know, so like all types of things are going on. All types of calamities are going on. And you don't want to be burdened with worrying about the carnal things that mean nothing. You know, you don't want to worry about the house that you're living in. You know, you write that shit off. You don't want to worry about the apartment that you're living in, or even the 82-inch widescreen TV that you just bought a week ago. Count that as lost, because you're not in this kingdom at this point to value those things. Is it nice to have it? Yeah, it's nice, you know what I'm saying, to kick back and watch a widescreen TV, but count it as a loss. Count that, that leather plush sofa that you got as a loss. Because in the days to come, it's not going to mean anything to you. While you're going through your pilgrimage, it's not like you're going to be able to stick that shit on your back and go for a hike. So count these materialistic things as a loss. Right now, they may benefit you. That recliner that you're sitting in may help your back. The bed that you're sleeping in may give you comfort. But the time is coming where you're not going to have a bed. The time is coming where you're not going to have a house. As a matter of fact, let me get this other precept. That's a nice segue into it. The book of Matthew, chapter 6 and verse 25. Therefore I say unto you, take no thought for your life, what ye shall eat, or what ye shall drink, nor yet for your body, what ye shall put on. Is not the life more than meat, and the body than raiment? Yeah, don't worry about these things that 2/3 are going to worry about. Don't worry about, well, shit, do I got to change the clothes for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday? Don't worry about these things. Is it wise, to have you a nice pair of boots that are comfortable, that you broke in? Yes, it makes sense. You don't want to be walking around with a fucking pair of Jordans slushing through mud. It doesn't give you any insulation. It doesn't give you any waterproofness. Think about these things before the evil days come. Is it wise to get you a nice pair of boots that are waterproof, that you broke in? Yes. Is it wise, to get you a rain suit? Yes. It is wise to get you a rain jacket, a rain suit, a poncho. In case if it rains, you can cover yourself if you're out in the wilderness. Is it wise to do these things? Yes. But don't sit back and think that you're going to have a go bag on your back filled with clothes that's going to last you a week or 2 weeks. Because when are you going to actually have the time to change your clothes during these times to come? You don't know. So don't worry about those things that you may have to deal with in this day. Hell, the time is coming where you might not be able to take a shower every day, or even wash your ass, or brush your teeth, or wash your face. We're entering into the times where Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai is saying, don't worry about those things. I got you. Because during the time of Jacob's trouble, you don't want that extra burden on yourself. You want to be able to let everything go and put everything into the hands of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. Then you allow the Lord, to work. Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai said, wait ye upon me until I rise up to the prey. Cut that cardinal shit out. Get your spirit right. Get ready for how bad you think is going to be, and multiply that by some number greater than 2. Because it's going to be a time that you've never seen before. You've never seen the death that's coming. Because when people get kicked out of their homes, they're going to want to grab information, ID, clothes, baby pictures, all types of shit that don't mean nothing. Because the idea that this devil has at the end of the day is to put you jakes to death. So what good is that ID going to do you, except help them identify who you are? What good are those baby pictures are going to do if your baby's, you know what I'm saying? Why are you worried about that bullshit? Get your spirit right. Reading on with the book of Matthew, chapter 6, jumping down to verse 26. Behold, the fowls of the air, for they sow not, neither do they reap, nor gather into barns, yet the heavenly Father feedeth them. Are ye not much better than they? Aren't you much better than the fowls of the earth? Yahweh Shem Yahushua loves his people, loves his elect. You know? You're much more loved than anything. You know? But the birds don't have a cropping machine. The birds don't have, you know, a plow. But they eat. And if Yahweh Shem Yahushua will, those same birds may feed you. You know? That's why it's important. In that day, you will have nothing and you will be happy because you will let go the burdens of this world. You will let go the shit that is burden. You see, like right now, you're burdened by the fact that you may have to get up tomorrow morning and go to work. That's a burden. You know, because now you got to manage your time wisely. You know, you got to sit back and say, okay, I just got off work at X o'clock. I got a lot of running around to do, and I may get 5 hours sleep. That's a burden when you have to sit back and you have to manage your time so incrementally to the point where you have no time for yourself. So that's a burdensome thing. Going to work is a burden, you know? And Yahweh Shem Yahushua say, let those things go. Because in the time of Jacob's trouble, I'm going to enjoy the fact that I ain't got to get up and go to work. I'm going to enjoy the fact that I ain't got to pay bills or worry about any of this bullshit. Lord's will, I'm going to enjoy the fact that I'm not going to have to worry about looking for food, working for food, begging for food. These are the things that you should be in the spirit of preparing yourself to let, you know, build upon. Knowing that Yahweh Shem Yahushua is going to do exactly what he said he was going to do. Now is the time to build up your faith in Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Because trust me, when the doors of mercy shut, you're going to have to deal with what you're going to have to deal with. All through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Either on the left hand or the right hand. You know? And there will be some that won't be able to deal with this because they haven't spiritually prepared. And then there are those who will be prepared for these things. Abba Ratazah, I'm one of those men who's prepared for what's coming. Because it's going to be bad, you know? Ain't no fucking sugarcoating it. It's going to be fucked up for everyone. But the difference is Yahweh Shem Yahushua has the word of Yahweh. Well, the elect has the word of Yahweh Shem Yahushua that he will protect them in those days. Yeah, we know there's going to be some martyrs. You know, you might find yourself in the FEMA camp and miraculously through miracles you may be delivered out of that. Or whatever your situation is. But regardless of the fact, Yahweh Shem Yahushua is going to be with his men. Regardless of what your situation is. So, we will be happy with nothing. We will be happy not worrying about shit. Because Yahweh Shem Yahushua is saying, don't worry about these things. You know? So, yeah, you know, you might be used to that comfortable bed now, but the time is coming where that's going to be out the window. You know? The book of Luke, chapter 9 and verse 58. And Yahushua said unto him, foxes have holes, and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man have nowhere to lay his head. So Yahushua had nowhere to rest his head. And here it is, our Creator had nowhere to lay his head. Do you think he was worried? No. Because he walked by faith and not by sight. And that's another thing that's going to fuck up a lot of Jakes. A lot of Jakes is going to see the calamities or A lot of jakes are going to see waves and waves and waves of calamities coming toward them and don't know how to act. And they're going to try to act carnally, you know, and not know how to deal in the spirit, you know, and be destroyed because of it. But regardless of the case, they're going to try to hold on to say, oh shit, I can't go down that block because, fuck it, I'm going all out. Come on, man. Come on, man. If that's their lot to do that, then that's their lot to do that. Because who knows, it may be their lot to do that just so that the elect can pass. It's a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the true and living power. You know, it's very fearful knowing or having that idea that Yahweh Shem Yahushua can use a 2/3 as a decoy for the elect to get through. Think about that. That's deep. But it's probable. You know? While you're sitting there and you're worried about your 401ks and your banker. Look, bro, when they cut, when this economic system collapses, the elect ain't worried about not having no fucking money. I'm not worried about the money in my account. Because at that point, when all that shit goes, I'm like, let's go. Let's go. Because we have actually reached a point where shit's about to get real. Or has gotten real. And so when this economical system collapses, and you have no way of paying for your apartment, you have no way of paying for your house, your car, your insurance, your this, your that, your medicals, your whatever. When that shit happens, 2/3 is gonna flip their fucking wing and not know what to do. But the elect is gonna use the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of the scriptures to get through these troubling times. And the scriptures say the Lord is gonna have our backs. As a matter of fact, did I get that? Hold on. Yep, I got that. The book of Psalms, chapter 55 and verse 22. Cast thy burdens upon Yahweh Shem Yahushai, and he shall sustain you, or he shall sustain thee. So while 2/3 is worried about their money when it collapses, their food when it runs out, or you know, their possessions when it gets robbed, or their homes when it gets burned down or ravaged or ransacked or whatever, the elect is going to cast their burdens upon Yahweh Shem Yahushai and have the Lord do the work. That's why I say the elect will have nothing and will be happy. We'll be happy. You know? Is it okay to have a book bag or you're like a backpack on your back, you know, with certain items in it that could sustain you for a night or whatever? Yeah, it would be wise to do so. Like I said, it would be wise to have a rain suit. It would be wise to have a poncho. It would be wise to have a hat. You know, it would be wise to have certain things because you don't know what the weather's going to be that day. But Yahweh Shem, it could be a fucking thunderstorm going on. And you're in the thick of it, but Yahweh Shem Yahushai won't let the rain touch you. Here it is. It's raining all around you, but where you're at, there's no rain. There's no rain, and you're laying down and you're sleeping beautifully. It could be fucking freezing outside, and where you're at, it could be warm as hell. Whereas you pulling off garments. So this is the level of faith that the elect is gonna have. This is the level of trust in Yahweh Shem Yahushai that the elect will have. So what more do you need other than that? But let's not be simple. Okay? Please, let's not be simple. Salah. Khan. Cast thy burdens upon Yahweh Shem Yahushai, and he shall sustain thee. He shall never suffer the righteous to be moved. So if you're doing the work of Yahweh Shem Yahushai and you and you're totally repentant, and if you're a servant of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, you think he's gonna have you out here begging for food? You think he's gonna have his elect going through what 2/3 are going through? Come on, bro. But thou, O power, shall bring them down into the pit of destruction. Bloody and deceitful men shall not live out their days, but I will trust in thee. So while everybody's flipping their fucking wig, not knowing what to do, carrying their most prized possessions, their inheritances and their whatever, the elect is going to lean upon Yahweh Shem Yahushai at the end of the day and let the Lord do the work. Because we have no might in our hand. We can't do anything. We can't fight without Yahweh Shem Yahushai being our protector. And that's one of the things that's going to fuck up a lot of jakes. But, it is what it is. But I think I pray that the point was made that the elect will have nothing and will be happy during the time of Jacob's trouble. Yeah, okay, we're in the flesh. You may have fear here. You'll be going through some things. I'm not saying I'm going to be a mighty man in that day, but at the end of the day, it's all having the trust of Yahweh Shem, having faith in what Yahweh Shem Yahushai said he was going to do. And we're all going to be tested with the MOTB. Every single one of us is going to have to go through something dealing with that. But at the end of the day, the elect won't take it. But 2/3 will. Anyhow, I like to give all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rachach, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations unto the elect of the nation of Israel. Shalom.